Okay, I want you to visualize something for a second and, close your eyes if you can safely do so. Obviously not if you're driving or flying right now. You are strapped into the left seat. The parking brake is set. You can feel the pressure building. But here's the twist. You aren't on a runway. There's no side stick in your hand. You're in this rigid, uncomfortable chair, and the interview board is just staring you down. That's silence in the room. It's louder than any engine spooling up.
That visual is enough to elevate the heart rate of even the most seasoned captain.
Right.
It is the single most high-stakes moment of a pilot's career that happens firmly on the ground. And honestly, looking at the data we have, it's where a lot of highly qualified aviators,
Yeah.
they just stall out before they even call for pushback.
That is exactly what we are unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into the art and the very specific science of the pilot interview. And I want to be clear right off the top. We aren't talking about, looking sharp or some generic job advice you'd find on LinkedIn. No. We are talking about converting soft skills into standard operating procedures. We've got a stack of training materials here, specifically focusing on protocols for you A320 pilots, including a critical technical update from late 2025. It completely changes how you handle engine failures.
Oh, that technical update is a massive game changer. I mean, if you answer that question the way you were trained just 3 years ago, you fail. Simple as that.
Wow.
But you're right. The scope here is broader. We're going to look at interview frameworks like SEAT and SMART, the STAR method for behavioral questions, and really the psychology behind why excellent pilots often make terrible interviewees.
So let's start with the problem statement. The source material makes a pretty bold claim right off the bat. It suggests that most pilots treat the interview like a casual chat in the crew room. Is that really happening at this level?
It happens constantly, and it is a critical failure point.
Yeah.
You see, pilots are used to a very specific environment. In the cockpit, communication is, functional, procedural.
Standard.
Exactly. But in the crew room, it's relaxed, anecdotal, full of jargon. The mistake is bringing that crew room vibe into the interview. If you walk in there thinking you're just going to shoot the breeze with fellow aviators, you have already failed.
Okay, so how should they frame it? If it's not a chat, what is it?
The interview is a flight profile. It requires the same rigor, the same checklists, and the same discipline as flying a Category 3 approach in minimums. You need to view this entire process as a mission.
A mission.
You are there to demonstrate safety, authority, and competence. You are not there to make friends. You are there to prove you can command the aircraft and the crew.
And that mission usually starts with the most dreaded command in the English language. It's not engine fire. It's tell me about yourself.
It sounds so benign, doesn't it? But this is your takeoff role. If you stumble here, you do not get off the ground. The board isn't asking for your biography. They don't care where you grew up. They don't care that you built model airplanes as a kid.
Yeah.
And unless it directly relates to the mission, they don't really care about your hobbies.
That seems a bit harsh. If they ask about you, why shouldn't you tell them about you? I feel like I'd want to explain my passion for flight.
Because they aren't testing your passion. They are testing your communication skills and your bandwidth. Can you filter information under pressure?
Ah.
They're checking if you fit the flight envelope of their company culture. They want a professional brief, not a life story. If you ramble for 5 minutes about your childhood, you've just shown them you can't prioritize critical data. You've shown them you lack situational awareness.
Okay, so we need a procedure for this, a checklist. Our sources break this down into a protocol called SEAT. It's designed to keep your intro to, a tight, punchy 60 seconds?
Yeah, about that.
Let's walk through it. S is for skills.
Right. S, skills. You want to immediately align your personal skills with the job description. Don't make them guess. If the flight ops manual of the posting calls for problem solving and collaboration, you use those exact words.
You're just mirroring them.
You're mirroring their needs. I am a safety-focused aviator with a background in complex problem solving. You set the frequency right away.
Next up is E-education and experience. This seems standard, but I imagine there's a trap here too.
The trap is listing every plane you've ever looked at or every route you've flown. Keep it brief. Qualifications, sure, but focus on the type of experience. Mention working in multi-crew environments, international ops, handling time-sensitive projects. You're showing you know how to operate in a complex system.
Got it. Then we have A, achievements.
This is key. And it's where pilots often get shy because we're trained to be humble. But you have to mention one high-altitude achievement. Just one.
Why just one? Why not list the top 3?
Because if you list 10, you sound arrogant or, even worse, insecure, like you're overcompensating. If you list one significant professional achievement, it anchors you as a high achiever. Psychologically, the board operates on that principle. Past performance predicts future performance.
And finally, T type of person.
This is your closing statement. You define your professional character. I'm the type of person who takes ownership of professional development. I add value to the team. You aren't just a seat warmer, you're an asset.
I like that structure. It's clean. But the source material also offers a full throttle version called SMART. This seems a bit more aggressive. When would you use this?
You use SMART when the stakes are higher. Maybe you're going for a direct entry captain role, or there are 500 applicants for 10 spots. You need to demonstrate leadership and foresight immediately. You can't just be good enough.
Okay, so S is still skills, but M is for motivation.
This answers the why us question before they even ask it. Why this airline? You need to show you aren't just looking for a paycheck. You want their tail flash on your uniform. I am motivated by your commitment to innovation in the Asian market, for example. You show you've done your homework.
A is achievements, your track record. R is reason to hire.
This is pure confidence. You state clearly that you are ready-made for the role. You require minimal supervision. You're telling them, I am a low-maintenance, high-output solution to your staffing problem. Airlines love low-maintenance pilots.
And then there's the T in SMART. These sources call this the killer blow. T stands for targets.
This is brilliant if you can pull it off. You mentioned a specific 30-day plan. You say something like, in my first 30 days, I plan to familiarize myself with your specific EFB protocols and integrate into the safety culture.
That's bold. You're talking as if you already have the job.
Exactly. It forces them to visualize you already working there. It moves you from candidate to colleague in their minds. It's a psychological bridge. Makes it harder for them to say no.
The source gives a gold standard first officer response. It includes a phrase I really liked. I'm a focused problem solver and a supportive collaborator who understands that crew resource management is the foundation of a safe flight.
It's perfect. It hits every buzzer. Problem solver, collaborator, CRM. It shows they get that the job isn't just moving the side stick.
So we've nailed the verbal intro. But there is a massive trap waiting, and it has nothing to do with words. The sources bring up something called the Rule of 55.
This is the advantage pro tip. You can have the best technical knowledge in the world, memorize the FCCHOM, the FCTM, but if you sit there looking like a bag of laundry, and that is a direct quote.
A bag of laundry, that's a vivid image.
Yeah.
It implies what, slouching, messiness?
It implies a lack of structure. I mean, the rule of 55 breaks down communication like this. 55% is body language, your posture, your eye contact. 38% is your tone, your projection, your confidence.
Wait, let me do the math here. That leaves only 7% for the actual content. The words.
That's the reality of human psychology, just 7%. Now, obviously, in a technical interview, content matters. If you don't know your V speeds, you're out. But in the behavioral part, if you don't look the part, they won't hear a word you say. They're hiring a leader. If you look small, you look unsafe.
So what's the tactic? How do we fix the bag of laundry issue?
Walk in, smile, firm handshake. But here's the specific instruction. Wait to be seated.
Why is that important?
It shows respect for the hierarchy. You're entering their space. And once you sit up straight, shoulders back.
Is that just to look military? Or is there more to it?
It's partially appearance, but it's largely physiology. Sitting up straight forces your diaphragm open. It makes your voice project authority. If you slouch, you compress the diaphragm, your voice thins out, and you sound unsure.
So you sound like a leader before you even speak.
Exactly. You wouldn't accept a mumbled clearance from ATC. They won't accept a mumbled answer from you.
Okay, so we're sitting up straight, ready to engage. Now comes the middle of the flight, the behavioral questions. Tell me about a time when...
And this is where candidates just bleed out. They start telling hanger stories. These rambling tales about some vague conflict where everyone ended up happy. The board doesn't want a story. They want to see your internal flight beta recorder.
They want evidence.
Correct. They're looking for competency. And to deliver that, we use the STAR protocol. Situation, task, action, result.
Let's walk through it because the sources emphasize that people often mess up the action part.
Okay, so S is situation. Briefly set the scene. Departure out of Chicago, thunderstorms, full load, keep it tight. T is task. What was the problem? Lavatory is inoperative, but dispatch wants us to launch.
Okay, straightforward. Now, A, action. Why is this so critical?
Because this is where you have to switch pronouns. And this is incredibly hard for pilots. We are trained from day one to say we. We decided, we flew, we ran the checklists.
It's ingrained CRM.
It's totally ingrained. But in an interview, They are hiring you, not your previous crew. You must say, I decided, I consulted, I initiated.
It feels unnatural, though, doesn't it? Almost arrogant.
It feels incredibly unnatural, but you have to fight that instinct. If you say, we fixed the problem, the interviewer has no idea if you fixed it, or if you just watched the captain fix it while you sat on your hands. You have to take ownership.
And finally, our result, the safe landing.
What happened? Passengers were delayed, but safety was preserved. And ideally, what did you learn? A good result always includes a reflection.
The sources gave a really good case study on that lavatory issue. The pilot refused an aircraft with a broken lavatory despite pressure from dispatch.
It's a classic scenario because, it isn't technically unsafe to fly with a broken lavatory, right? It's an LAL item. But it's a huge passenger welfare issue on a long flight.
It's a judgment call.
So the pilot uses STAR. Situation, broken lav, task, ensure passenger comfort, action. I consulted the lead flight attendant. I determined that a 4-hour flight with a full load was not viable. I informed dispatch of my decision.
That I is powerful.
It is. And the result wasn't just we didn't fly. The result was the chief pilot supported my decision.
Yeah.
That validates your judgment.
Now, there's a pro tip here that I absolutely love. It's called the tie-in maneuver.
Oh, this is a lifesaver. If your STAR story feels a bit shaky, or you just want to stick the landing with style, you add one sentence at the very end.
And that is exactly the type of safety-first decision-making I intend to bring to Target Airline.
It's psychological magic. You are forcing the interviewer to visualize you applying that competency at their airline.
Yeah.
It bridges the gap between your past and their future. It answers the so what question for them.
Okay, moving on to the heavy machinery. We've covered the soft skills, but this deep dive is specifically for A320 pilots, and we need to talk about technical jeopardy.
This is the checkride portion of the interview, and we have a very specific high-stakes update to discuss.
The A320 Harmonized Engine Damage Rules, updated November 2025.
Right. If you are operating off old knowledge, even knowledge from 2024, you're going to walk right into a trap.
Let's set the scene. You are in the interview. The examiner says, you're on the takeoff roll, high speed, near view 1. You hear a loud bang and a compressor stall sound. Instinct screams severe damage. Do you secure the engine?
The old instinct, and frankly the human instinct, says yes. It sounded like an explosion. Kill it. Secure the aircraft. But if you say that, you fail. As of November 2025, the harmonized rules have removed acoustic criteria from the damage assessment.
Wait, clarify that. The noise doesn't matter.
A bang is often just a recoverable stall or a surge. It sounds terrible. It sounds like the engine is tearing itself apart, but that engine might still be producing thrust. The new procedure requires you to overcome that startle effect. You cannot fly by ear. You have to fly by the data.
So what is the new rule? What are we looking for?
It is the 2 or more rule. You need to see 2 or more specific symptoms on the system display or the engine warning display to confirm severe damage.
And what specific symptoms are we scanning for on the ECAM?
You're scanning for things like a rapid EGT spike to the red line, rotor mismatch, or seizure. That's your N1, N2 issues. Significant vibration, abnormal oil parameters, maybe a hydraulic loss.
And if you only see one, or just hear the bang?
Then it is likely a recoverable surge. You keep the engine running. You might even perform a relight if you need to. You do not shut down a viable power source based on noise alone.
That is a massive shift in mindset. It goes against the loud noise equals bad logic that keeps us alive.
It does, and that's why it's a favorite interview question right now. They want to see if you are current, and more importantly, if you can suppress panic with procedure. Can you override your lizard brain with your pilot brain?
So if we apply the STAR method to this technical question, how does that sound?
Your action needs to be explicit. You'd say something like, I heard the bang, but I ignored the acoustic noise because it is no longer a criterion. I scanned the ECAM for 2 or more symptoms. Seeing only one, I determined it was a recoverable stall.
And the result?
I kept the engine running, preserved the power source, and safely managed the flight path. You saved the engine because you knew the November 2025 rules.
It really shows how these interviews are evolving. It's not just can you fly the plane, it's do you understand the philosophy of the aircraft?
Absolutely. The A320 is a data-driven machine. The pilot needs to be a data-driven decision maker.
We've covered a lot of ground today. Let's try to recap the flight plan here. We've got 3 main pillars.
Sure. Pillar 1, structure your introduction. Use SEAT for the standard approach, or SMART if you need to be aggressive. Get straight to the point.
Right. And pillar 2 is structuring your stories.
Yeah, using the STAR method. Remember, I took action, not we. And use that tie-in maneuver to connect it to the new airline.
And pillar 3, update your technicals. If you're an A320 pilot, know those November 2025 engine damage rules.
Noise is not damage. Look for 2 or more symptoms.
And don't forget the rule of 55.
Never. Posture and tone account for 93% of the impression you make. Don't be a bag of laundry. Sit up, open the diaphragm, and project.
You know, it brings up a really interesting so what for everyone listening. We often think of the interview as just a barrier to entry, a hoop to jump through.
But it's not. It is the first demonstration of your authority. You are a leader. The interview is simply the first time you get to show them that you can command a room the same way you command an aircraft. I mean, if you can't manage your own story and your own body language for 45 minutes, why should they trust you with 200 passengers at 38,000 feet?
That's the reality check. And that leads me to a provocative thought to leave you with. We talked about that rule of 55, that 55% of your score is body language and only 7% is content.
It's still a staggering statistic.
So ask yourself this. If the score is weighted that heavily towards how you present yourself, are you spending too much time memorizing manuals and not enough time practicing how you sit, stand, and project your voice?
It's a fair question. You wouldn't fly a plane without checking the control surfaces. Your body and your voice are the control surfaces of the interview. Don't neglect the pre-flight check on yourself.
That is exactly the type of insight that gets you the job. Fly safe out there.
Fly safe and good luck.
See you on the next deep dive.